All right, forget all that generic health advice you always hear. Today, we're going to be data detectives. We are about to crack open one person's 129-day health story, piecing together all the clues from their personal data to uncover what is, frankly, a radical transformation. So let's get into it.
So our whole investigation kicks off right here. On the left, you see a glucose management indicator, or GMI, of 6.4%. Now, you can think of GMI kind of like a long-term report card for your blood sugar, and a 6.4% is basically a bright red warning sign for prediabetes. But now, look over to the right. Just 129 days later, it's dropped all the way to 5.62%, which is squarely in the healthy range. So the big question is, how on earth did they do that? That's the mystery we're here to solve.
Okay, Section 1, a metabolic snapshot. Every good detective story needs a starting point, right? So let's take a look at the baseline evidence.
Before we dig any deeper, we need to meet our primary piece of evidence, time in range, or TIR. It's actually pretty simple. It's just the percentage of time your blood glucose stays in that healthy green zone. Think of it as the main score in this metabolic game. The higher that score, the better you're doing. And believe me, this number is going to be absolutely crucial to cracking this case.
Here they are, the two bookends of our entire story. Period 1, the catalyst for all this change, an average glucose of 129. Now fast forward to period 10, the fully optimized state, and that averages down to 96. I mean, that is a huge shift. So what happened in between? Well, let's just say it was a real roller coaster ride.
Section 2, the glucose roller coaster. Okay, now we are entering the messy middle. And let me tell you, this was not a straight line to success. This was a period of trial, error, and some pretty critical discoveries that ended up changing everything.
This chart, wow, this reveals our first major clues, the setbacks. Take a look at those two massive red spikes. That represents time below range, which is hypoglycemia. We're talking dangerously low blood sugar. But here's the thing, these weren't failures. In an investigation like this, these are the moments that break the case wide open, because they show you exactly what wasn't working. So let's zoom our magnifying glass in on that first crisis, period 4, which happened in late October. This was really the first major red flag that the initial strategy was, seriously flawed. Get ready for this. During that period, a shocking 24% of the time was spent with dangerously low blood sugar. And the safe limit? It's supposed to be under 4%. So, yeah, this wasn't just some minor dip. It was a full-blown, prolonged crisis. We had to find the cause. And what do you know, the food diary gives us the smoking gun. Just look at these entries. Biryani rice, multiple meals with fried rice, even kombucha. All these high-carb meals were causing this massive glucose spike, which then forced the body to overcorrect and send blood sugar crashing way, way down. The data caught the culprit red-handed.
Now you'd think one big crisis would be enough to solve the case. But nope. In early February, during period 9, an even more intense crisis popped up. The data was waving another huge red flag.
This timeline is just fascinating. It helps us reconstruct exactly what led to that second crisis. We see some serious underfueling. I mean, one day just has peanut butter logged. Then a new thyroid medication is introduced. That's followed by some intense exercise and then a huge high-carb refeed of pizza and ice cream. It was literally the perfect storm. And the result? On February 12th, the time spent in a low state hit an unbelievable 53% for that one day.
Section 3, cracking the code. So, after hitting rock bottom not once, but twice, the investigation finally leads to a breakthrough. All those clues from the crises were the key to unlocking the final optimized protocol.
So this is it, the crucial question. What finally changed? After all of that volatility, what was the key that finally unlocked real, stable metabolic health?
This one number, this is the solution to our entire investigation, 99.5%. That was the time and range achieved in the final period. Just think about that for a second. To go from the chaos of spending 24% of the time dangerously low to spending nearly 100% of the time perfectly in range. And this chart, this just visualizes that victory perfectly. Look at the bar on the far right for period 10. It is an almost solid block of green. Now compare that to those angry red slices from the crises back in period 4 and 9. This one image tells the entire story of the transformation. So what was the winning protocol? Well, the evidence points to 4 key things.
First, a carnivore-dominant diet, full of things like eggs, meats, and avocado. Second, they got rid of almost all processed carbs. Third, meal timing became consistent. And fourth, they finally stabilized that thyroid medication dose. See, it wasn't one magic bullet, it was a complete, systematic overhaul.
Section 4. The lab results don't lie. Now, the daily glucose data tells a really compelling story, but for the final verdict, we need some forensic proof. It's time to check the lab results for some good old-fashioned corroborating evidence.
And wow, this table is just incredible. Between the lab draw in January and the one in March, the changes are just staggering. HOMA-IR, that's a key marker of insulin resistance, dropped by 64%. Fasting insulin, also down 64%. Triglycerides, a type of fat in your blood, plummeted by 70%. Even testosterone went up by nearly 30%. These aren't minor tweaks, people. This is a fundamental metabolic reset.
Let's just visualize those key metrics. A 64% drop in insulin resistance, a 70% drop in triglycerides, and a 68% improvement in the triglyceride to HDL ratio, which is a really powerful predictor of heart disease risk. The evidence here is just overwhelming. The data is practically screaming success.
And this right here puts the entire investigation together. On the left, you see the daily glucose data. That's the journey, with all its messy ups and downs. And on the right, the final lab results. That's the destination, confirmed optimal metabolic health. The daily data directly predicted these profound internal changes.
Section 5. Your data, your story. So what's the final verdict from our investigation? What can we all learn from this incredible data story?
Well, the evidence reveals a really clear four-step path. First, you have to establish a baseline. You gotta know your starting point. Second, analyze your setbacks. Treat those crises not as failures, but as your most important clues. Third, optimize your protocol based on what you learned. And finally, validate your results with lab work to prove the changes are real and they're lasting.
You know, this single sentence from the report's conclusion really just says it all. A transformation from borderline insulin resistance to optimal metabolic function confirmed by both CGM and lab data. The evidence is conclusive. Case closed.
We've just decoded 129 days of a person's life, all through their data. We found the catalyst, we investigated the crises, we uncovered the breakthrough, and we confirmed the results. It all leaves just one final question. What story is your data waiting to tell?